Hello and welcome to our second spoiler review and yet another superhero film, Captain America: Civil War. And we haven't got Dave today. We've got
special guest,
Marvel expert Liam.
I'm special.
Yeah. So first of all,
Liam's a big fan of the MCU.
This is why we brought Liam in, because he is the Marvel expert. He is.
Yeah, Marvel is my life. Not really my life.
People will take that quite literally on this podcast. They do. Our fans are quite vicious.
Yeah, well, so vicious they don't talk to us.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll try not to get too fan-y.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one person who's a huge fan, which is Liam.
Yeah.
I
like it, but I'm not like a diehard or Marvel's best.
I like the first phase one, leading up to the Avengers. Assemble, which is named that in England due to the other English Avengers TV series, which they made with Ralph Fiennes and Sean Connery, which was horrific. I like all the origin stories. I do admit, I think it's getting stale now. Yeah. It's getting really stale. I think I saw Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3 all in the cinema. I saw Thor 1 and Thor 2 in the cinema. Avengers, I didn't think I missed Avengers. I watched Ultron. We actually, me and Liam.
Where were you that day?
I think I watched it with my flat. Actually, I watched it with my flat.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, yeah.
We went to the cinema, which is it's been because Age of Ultron is the one previously to this, isn't it? I think is Ant-Man after.
Yeah.
I
may have seen Ultron 4 times in cinema.
Jesus.
See, I wouldn't pay for it to see 4 times.
With different people each time, so it wasn't just just going back.
Yeah, just funny you going back on your own.
Still went to go see it 4 times, though, didn't we? Still went to go see it 4 times.
I enjoyed it. I recognise that as flaws, but I did enjoy the film.
Yeah. I think I like the whole concept of it.
I don't think it was a bad film. I think it gets a lot more.
I think it gets a lot of shit than it deserves.
Definitely.
But we bring Age of Ultron up purely because this is what. Well, Ant-Man is its own sort of story. It's obviously it's in the MCU, but it's a smaller story. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is obviously on a different level to the other MCU films.
Same universe, but it's
complete. It's like I like to describe it as a tree. You've got the roots, then you've got which is the MCU, the Iron Man, and then you spread off. You've got your Ant-Man, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then we've heard recently that Inhumans has been taken off the Marvel's schedule, isn't it? 2019's been taken off.
Okay. Is which one's it Inhumans then?
It's kind of like X-Men, but they're not X-Men. They're not called mutants, but they've all got like powers. It's sort of like a community kind of thing.
Because are you a fan of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show?
I haven't watched a lot of it, but I've heard a lot about it. Yeah, they're using Inhumans.
Yeah, because they've introduced that into the 3rd season. I've watched 5-6 episodes of the 1st season, stopped. Yeah. Haven't got into the 2nd one, and obviously we're in England, so the 3rd one hasn't hit us just yet.
Yeah, I do intend to go back to it, but I just haven't had the time yet.
Yeah, I mean, do you?
I've never seen it.
It's okay, but it's a whole thing of Josh Whedon's making stories for the little guys. That's what I think. I like Ant-Man. Ant-Man's not really, no pun intended.
In a literal sense. Yeah.
He's a very smaller character. God, there's no way to phrase that instead of making a pun out of it. He's
He's like conventional superhero, is he?
Yeah. And I quite like that. I don't think Marvel takes enough risks. But anyway, back to Civil War. So, have you seen...
I'm sorry. They don't take enough risks.
I don't think they do.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think Guardians of the Galaxy on paper doesn't sound like it's going to work. But come on.
Yeah. It definitely worked.
It does really work. But I think they sort of knew it was going to work like that.
I think saying Marvel takes risks is a very difficult thing to say because, like... If Marvel's releasing a film, people are going to go and see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. There's like anything they release, and if you put Marvel before it in a name, like even if it's something that's like not even a superhero film, if they put Marvel's Little Bo Peep or something like that, people are going to go and see it.
I think like it's interesting because like Guardians of the Galaxy, we talk about a risk, but I mean if Guardians of the Galaxy would have bombed, it wouldn't really have taken away from anything else because it was his own standalone thing. Like Ant-Man, if Ant-Man wouldn't have worked. Not the end of the world for MC. If Civil War would have bombed, it would have been a big shit. So, talking about Civil War then, we'll talk about Captain America, the previous 2 films. Have you seen them both?
I've seen both of them,
yeah.
Liam.
Obviously, Liam has seen them, yeah. Liam's probably
seen
them backwards.
I've seen them backwards.
So, I didn't get to see either of them in the cinema. I've watched them both on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I watched both on DVD afterwards,
Yeah.
but after the cinema release.
Well, speaking of the all-seeing master of MCU, Liam, do you prefer the first two? Because the first one's strikingly different to the second one.
Yeah.
I definitely prefer the second.
Yeah.
I still can't make up my mind between the second and the third. Which one?
Oh wow.
I think
I love them both, and I really don't know which one.
Do you like going off on another tour? Do you like 70s political thrillers then? Are you into the Robert Redford films?
I do.
Manchurian Candidate?
But I really did like the style of Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Because that's the reason why I quite like it, because it has got the Manchurian Candidate, and it's got stuff. It's got really like I love the Robert Redford inclusion. I think he's quite good at it. But I think that they're all got overtones of the government, political things. Even the first Avenger. But I like the first one. I do. I really like the second one.
I always find it funny in the first one when you actually if you don't know anything about World War II and then you watch that film, it's quite funny, isn't it? It's like
I don't
know much about World War II, but I have seen Captain America First Avenger.
It's not a good start point, is it?
Yeah. It's interesting. It's very much implanted in real world scenarios.
Well, I like the inclusion of the young Howard Stark, played by is it Dominic Cooper in it, who was in History Boys. Yeah. I like that Peggy Carter's got a bit of meat to it. I like that Tommy Lee Jones got a big. I love Hugo Weaving in his Red Skull as well.
Yeah, he's just great, whatever he's in, pretty much.
Yeah, to be fair, he's really good in the Matrix trilogy. So we'll continue. Okay. Yeah, so we're talking about as a trilogy now.
Which is interesting because honestly, I multiple times watching this film forgot it was a Captain America film.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of separated it away from Captain America. And the fact that there's been 3 Captain America films now completely blows my mind, because in my mind, the only one that's actually been a proper just Captain America film was the first one. Even the second one had elements of the Avengers.
That's kind of the point of his character.
Yeah.
He is the leader. He inspires others, and others follow him. In a sense, that is kind of Captain America's character.
It makes sense, but it takes.
I get what you mean.
It's interesting you both say that, because at the start of the MCU, when we start with Iron Man, it felt like Iron Man was this person whose the stories branched off. Iron Man was a character, but now it's becoming Captain America. Steve Rogers he's getting all. It's his path now, and everyone's coming off him. Like Iron Man's in his film and stuff like that. And obviously we have Howard Stark. So it's looking like, as a trilogy, I think obviously we can't talk about Thor, and we can't talk mainly about Thor. But Iron Man is a second trilogy if we compare it to.
Yeah.
I think Iron Man, the first one, is far better than the first Avenger. I think Iron Man 2 is far weaker than Winter Soldier. Yeah. And I think Iron Man 3 is far weaker than Civil War.
It's kind of funny how they've kind of done the opposite, whereas Iron Man's declined, Captain America's gone up. And
obviously there's more trepidation about Captain America because of Chris Evans' second role. Obviously didn't make it particularly well as Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four series. Yeah. And Robert Downey Jr. I must admit, I think Iron Man 1 is probably one of my favourite, just because it was the start of something new. And plus Jeff Bridges is bald in that film.
I love Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. Yeah, reminds me of Dave Manette, but anyway.
Bald patch.
Huge bald patch and a little goatee, which is horrific. And I love how I never knew, when I first watched that film, I never knew that Jeff Bridges was the villain in that film.
Yeah. It's a bit of the same like Dave, isn't it? Villainous undertones.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because this Civil War was going to be called the Serpent Society.
This film.
Yeah, well, it was jokingly rumored to be that, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had that in the press conference, to throw people off. And they literally halfway through the press conference, they went, "Oh wait, the title's wrong," and they brought out Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans on stage. And everyone went crazy. We'll get onto the film, but there's one thing, because Liam just brought a really, really good topic up there. The name of the film.
Okay.
You sort of I was about to pounce on you when you said about it's not a Captain America film anymore. I'm not too sure why, because Captain America obviously made a lot of money. Mm. If this to me is Avengers 2.5, I think it's to a lot of people. Why didn't they just call it Marvel's Civil War? No. Why incorporate Captain America's name into it?
I think mainly because of the Cat Bucky arc, and because they focus a lot on that with because it it caused a lot of events.
Yeah, because but in Age of Ultron, you read about Chris Evans is talking about like he's on the search for Bucky in that film.
Yeah.
There's a character right there. It's not a huge one, if not at all, but it's still there. So my point would be then: would you still agree with Captain America: Civil War?
You always wonder whether they would have called it Captain America versus Iron Man, but because Batman vs Superman was around.
Yeah, I mean it's not a stupid idea though.
No, it isn't. Not at all.
I would have cried if they'd have done that.
Right. So we are going to compare this quite inevitably to the DC monstrosity Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
So we reviewed this about I think 2 months ago.
Yeah, about 2 months ago.
About
4 a.m.
About at 4 a.m. in the morning. We went to go watch it Friday midnight screening in England.
It's not quite 4 a.m. now, but
Liam's been to watch it. You went to watch it a few days later than us.
No, I watched it day one.
Did you watch it day
not
one?
the midnight screening. Yeah.
Well, we got to you first.
you
Anyway,
saw it before I did.
compared to either of them now,
Yeah.
well, obviously we won't review, but you can if you want to check the Batman vs Superman review. And I wasn't highly of it, but I thought you did quite well. Looking back on it now in hindsight,
Yeah.
and I've only seen Civil War once. You've seen
I did it twice.
Jesus Christ,
I'll
no.
go see it again when all these exams are finished.
Jesus
True fan
Christ,
right here.
yeah.
This is why
That's not a true fan. That's like stalking like
This
a
is,
celebrity.
This is why the MCU is the highest grossing
Yeah.
franchise.
Liam.
of all time.
It's just me.
It's just
Thanks to
Liam.
Liam Stradling.
Well, I had one friend whose birthday was on the day of release, so we went to see it. And
You've
then
got
we
any
had-
excuse to go watch
And then I had
it.
another friend the day after who wanted to see it, so I saw it again.
That just sounds like an excuse to
It's the
go.
Liam Stradling cinematic universe.
Yeah. Jesus.
What can I say? It's good.
That's not a bad cinematic universe to
Yeah,
have,
is
is it, to be honest? Yeah, so we're going to compare it. We won't go into depth with Batman vs Superman, but I'm going to say this right now. This has one key element, obviously the parent situation in Civil War, that Batman vs Superman quite ironically had as well. So Batman vs Superman didn't work for me and you quite as much in that review
Yeah.
as I thought it would do. Here, I think it works.
I've got no complaints about it.
I have though. I think that how it like. Do you know what? At the end when he gets a phone call, or he gets a phone and he got the letterbox and the FedEx. How much is that? Quite. Stanley.
Yeah.
Another thrown in cameo by Stanley, who looks like he's dying now.
Batman.
He'll just be liquid in a few years.
There's a massive eruption of cheers when he came onto the screen when I was in the cinema.
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody gasped.
Nobody said anything about it. Everyone was like,
Who's this
"Who
old
is this?
fuck?"
Yeah, who is this old man?" But I think that you've got so much emotion and so much played out of this event, and it just ends. It's like it's just a line in the sand where and obviously we have Daniel Bruhl's character being talked to by Martin Freeman, which is probably the worst inclusion of his character ever.
But
And he-
Martin Freeman just took me completely off.
Awful. And then when I thought he came when we introduced him when Bucky Barnes is arrested, I thought he was going to come out with a German accent.
Yeah, I thought he
I was so
gonna just be
nervous.
British accent. I was just expecting his normal British accent.
Yeah.
And then it just came out American. I was
Really
like, what?
badly American as well. Anyway, so obviously when he asks him, your plan didn't even work, and he says, no, it did. And then it leads to just that scene of nothing happening. I was hoping Tony Stark would just be like, get the phone and crush it or something, or throw it away. Because I think that character, also at the first, I love the prologue to Bucky Barnes when he gets the numbers and stuff. I think it's a really good prologue, 1991.
Yeah.
But when the car came, I noticed the license plate saying New York, and I knew straight away it was his parents. Especially with the scene afterwards with him playing 19-year-old self, which looked horrifically terrifying as well.
Yeah.
That was really creepy.
Yeah. I have to say though, talking about Daniel Bruhl a bit earlier, I think his inclusion in this film was one of my favourite parts about it.
I'd agree.
It's what honestly I think he was the best part of this film.
I was trying to think when I reviewed this for Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Can you name another human villain in the MCU?
Yeah, I was going to say human villain, not in the MCU. Anyone who can compare it to it is Lex Luthor, but that's even then he's not had a notable film where he's been brilliant, apart from maybe the original Superman films.
I mean, I can't name it in the MCU specifically though. I can't name another villainous human that's given. I mean, you look at Aldrich Killian in Iron Man 3, which obviously he's got undertones of a super villain, and then Ben Kingsley is the dud, which I think I can't talk about the film because I'll be here for fucking hours.
Yeah.
I hate that film.
I suppose there is.
I really like that film.
Yeah.
You like the twist, though, don't you?
I really enjoyed the twist just because it was so unexpected. I totally get and totally understand why a lot of people don't enjoy that film, but I do.
I've never seen Iron Man 3. I've seen the first two. I haven't seen.
Got it on Blu-ray and I left it at home. That's how I left it at home. It's awful.
It's not part of your Blu-ray collection.
No, it's not. Iron Man 2 isn't. I've got Guardians of the Galaxy and I've got Captain America Winter Soldier and the Avengers with me. But I was going to take, because I quite like Thor: The Dark World. I don't know why.
Yeah, that one.
It's a bit iffy, isn't it? I don't know, but I like it.
it.
I like the first Thor.
I think I started that and I didn't finish it.
Yeah,
I went to cinema to see that in Huddersfield, in a college, which was like prison. Anyway, moving on. So, Civil War then. First time, obviously, we all watched it.
Yeah.
Would we go and get... Well, actually, let's leave that later because it's obviously towards the end. But, I mean, going in, any trepidations? Because obviously you're a big MCU fan, and this, I know Avengers Assemble is critically acclaimed. Ultron, like you said, mixed reviews. I quite liked it, but I don't like the ending. You quite liked it.
I really enjoyed it.
You are a little... Sorry, Rob, you're a little bit...
With
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
So you've got to admit that you must have some trepidation of going into Civil War.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have trepidation going to any Marvel film at this point, really, because
really, even after Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy.
I haven't seen Ant-Man, but Guardians of the Galaxy I liked because it was its own thing.
Yeah,
that's what I really liked about it. I think big problem I have with Marvel at the moment is that the films you have to have seen all the films to kind of completely understand them. You have to have a complete grasp of them. And like, it's quite inaccessible to people who aren't Marvel fans sometimes as well. Age of Ultron, the introduction of Vision, didn't actually know his name until I googled it afterwards. Like, I didn't know who the fuck he was. He just turned out of nowhere. And like,
it wasn't explained at all. Vision's powers, and it still kind of isn't. Yeah,
he's just kind of there. He's just kind of this geezer. He's all powerful.
He says about 2 lines about the crystal in his skull. Which is a line is a title from a film that we will never talk about. But I think it's just one of the things where like they had to get him in that film. Because I do like Vision in this film. I just don't think he's.
Yeah, I think he's good, but
he's just he's like Mrs. Doubtfire. He's like the nanny in the film. It's just
it's kind of like they put this like all powerful character in there. They don't want him to be too overpowered, so they make a joke of him. So he doesn't. So he's like not a joke of him. But you know what I mean? Like he's kind of just all powerful thing that can do whatever he wants and doesn't necessarily have to like save the day all the time. And since it's Civil War and they're all against each other anyway. He's going to obviously stay back anyway because he's going to like cause it.
It's the same with Scarlet Witch. They're really like underpowering her at the minute, and like they've said that she hasn't scratched her true potential because she's literally like the most powerful Avenger there. Like,
they did sort of like literally not make any dynamic with her brother being killed in the previous film.
She compared his Quicksilver to the Quicksilver in X-Men.
Oh, X-Men only do.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Liam?
I really like the. Oh well, that seems kind of typical, but I really like the Age of Ultron one. Like,
really,
I like the scene in X-Men. I really like the scene, but I personally don't like the portrayal of him.
Okay.
Maybe that's just me, but
I do like Aaron Taylor.
How like accurate is he to like source material?
I haven't seen a lot of Quicksilver, to be fair.
He's in. I know in the comics he's got an incestuous relationship with Scarlet Witch.
In the Ultimate comics, which is weird.
That's a bit strange, isn't it? For an MCU as well. Yeah. So this film's 2.5 hours long.
I didn't notice it. The pacing's really good. I think that's one of its best strengths.
Yeah, that's very true.
I came out of it thinking, holy shit, 2.5 hours has just passed. I thought that was like an hour and a half, 2 hours film.
Yeah,
it is long. It doesn't feel long, but I think you get to the point where they fight at the airport, which I think is done quite well. I love the inclusion of Giant Man as well. I think Paul Rudd, Scott Lang, brings a really good. I don't like his introduction. I don't like him how he's just taken and he's like this cool guy and he's like, he's taken back by Captain America. It's like you went into a quantum physics field or whatever it was, survived, and you're taken back by a man who can keep a helicopter there.
In the comics,
he's a childhood hero.
That's bullshit.
In the comics, doesn't he become like one of the leaders of the Avengers at some point? No.
He was one of the original Hank Pym Ant-Man.
Michael Douglas's character,
who like set up the team in the first place.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird to me seeing that. Obviously, I don't know much about it, but like seeing that and then seeing his first introduction is him and going, "Whoa, Iron Man, how are you doing?"
But
in
a sense, so
I think Paul Rudd's really good in it, but again,
I think he's great.
He's not given much to do in it though. I think it's one of the things where they're all fighting for. Everyone's fighting for screen time, obviously, like in any big budget film like that.
This is one thing I didn't like about the film was that there's so many characters and all the humour was them kind of trying to get that screen time. And all the lines that was just coming from this. Hey, look, it's you, the other Avenger. Look at me, I'm this Avenger.
I think Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Scott Lang, Ant-Man, them three are the prime examples of that.
Yeah.
Hawkeye and
Spiderman as well, like.
Well, we'll bring him up later because I think.
Don't diss
Yeah.
I'm literally like the biggest
Well,
fan of
because Liam and Robert brought him up, let's discuss the portrayal of Spider-Man. This is the third. No, in film universe, this is the third portrayal.
Best.
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
My favourite is Tobey Maguire.
I think it's a similar thing with Batman. You play Batman, but you have to play Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So I think Michael Keaton played I think he played both of them quite well. I don't think he got the Batman nailed on though. I think you look at Val Kilmer. We don't even know. I don't. Whatever that monstrosity was after that with George Clooney, I don't know because that's. And then
a suave Batman.
Yeah, with some really hard nipples on show. I think Christian Bale did really well as Batman, but didn't nail Bruce Wayne until probably The Dark Knight Rises because he doesn't become Batman like 40 minutes into that film. That film's 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
It's all about him killing himself.
Yeah, and then we've got Ben Affleck as Batman, and I think he nails Bruce Wayne really well.
Yeah, I don't even like Batman, and I really
yeah. So I think Spider-Man's a similar thing. I think Tobey Maguire. That will always be my Spider-Man. Yeah. Because I grew up with him.
Yeah. He's definitely the best Peter Parker portrayal I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man 2 is probably my favourite Marvel film of all time. Personally,
I think that trilogy alone, it's very similar to what they have to do. I think first one to the Iron Man 3 one, because Spider-Man 3 is universally not very liked. There's so many things in that film where you just think to yourself, why was that chosen to be put in? I think they missed a really bad trick with Venom. But obviously, there's loads of stories about Sony making him put in people like that. But I love
Spider-Man 3. I think
it's Alfred Molina in Spider-Man 2. Who plays? What an absolute
brilliant!
He's brutally good as Doc.
He's such a good contrast to Spider-Man's character.
Yeah.
In that film. I think Spider-Man 3's biggest flaw was those characters in that film that didn't need to be there. Sandman was a really good inclusion in the film, but it didn't add anything to the story whatsoever.
Especially the end,
It seemed like he was put in there to wrap it up when really he didn't add anything to any of the rest of the film anyway.
Gwen Stacy.
Oh man, yeah.
I don't know why she's in. Bryce Dallas Howard plays her as well. I just don't know what she's in there.
Just like literally, all she played was just some like kind of blonde who was there to kind of.
Well, ironically, she's the same character as in Jurassic World, which is just horrific.
Yeah, my biggest flaw with that trilogy is mainly Mary Jane, and literally each film she gets into trouble pretty much. Like the final act is her being held as the damsel in distress.
I think in the first one, I think the second one. When she's tied up, obviously in the I think it's like the abandoned subway, is basically the same as she is in the first one, and then she's in the third one. She always falls out with him, and she always gets back with him. She's always moody, and then she's happy. I think did you blame the portrayal of her by Kirsten Dunst, or did you blame the writing of the character, or do you blame the character itself?
It's got to be a mixture of both, isn't it? Really?
A mixture of all of them. Like that scene especially. I don't know why it gets me so much when she walks out of the theatre and everybody's clapping and she thinks it's for her, and then Spider-Man swings past and then she gets all jealous. That pisses me off so much. Like I can't really explain it. It's just so annoying. Like I just don't like the way they did it at all.
I think one thing I kind of remember from the Amazing Spider-Man going to that was the Gwen Stacy partnership. I remember it being alright.
Well, them two had real chemistry because they were going out at the time, weren't they? They were actually, dating. I think my problem with Amazing Spider-Man, the first one, is that you finally get the Killer Croc that you've been waiting for 3 films in the previous trilogy. Yeah. They take him back to high school. Aunt May, Sally Field's a really good actress. I think Andrew Garfield quite loved playing that character, but I think the whole thing of the trailer ruined the film.
Right.
It's too dark for a Spider-Man film.
Yeah, what I really love about Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1 is just how quirky it is.
I guess that's Sam Raimi as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think Sam Raimi as well. You say how dark Amazing Spider-Man is, but it's interesting because Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 is very dark in places as well. It's a good mixture of it as well.
The hospital scene, we've got a really good... we really love this. I like Sam Raimi. The Evil Dead, you've got...
it's horror roots, isn't it?
It's horror roots. That hospital scene gave me nightmares when I was little for quite some time.
It's possibly one of the scariest scenes I've seen in a Marvel film or superhero film, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, with the Amazing Spider-Man, I think it's shot very dark as well. It's always shot at night. I think that Rhys Ifans, who plays the villain, he's Welsh. I might have butchered his last name.
Yeah.
I think his portrayal as the Lizard is horrific. I think his portrayal as the Doctor himself is horrific. Yeah. I think that like you've got Ifran Khan in it. I don't even know what he's in it. I can remember him owning the company and him driving in a car in a taxi. That's it.
Yeah.
I like Martin Sheen's Uncle Ben. Again, not utilised probably enough as he should be.
One thing I will say.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
The original trilogy of Sam Raimi's films, they're quirky, like the whole kind of high school vibe to it, especially the first one where it's like he gets in a high school fight, goes to the wrestler thing with Randy Savage, which is hilarious. I
always like that scene. I don't like wrestling, but I've always liked that scene.
Bonesaw. He's literally just playing Randy Savage as well. Yeah. It's hilarious.
It's got humour in it as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting you talk about like you've got horror roots. Well, Mark Webb, who directed the second intended reboot, is from 500 Days of Summer. He's got a romantic history with his films, and the partnership between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker in them two films are tight, really tight. It's really nice to see how you can see a romance in a film. But again, he loses his way with everything else, which Raimi didn't.
You always wonder if they both directed it. Like Sam Raimi did, like the kind of action.
I think we'd have got a perfect trilogy. I think we'd have got a perfect trilogy before we would have got the Dark Christopher Nolan's.
Because if they had the Gwen Stacy relationship in the original trilogy, then it would have been one of the best trilogies of all time, potentially, maybe.
I think that's a that's a good shout. What do you think they are?
Because honestly, there's not many trilogies you can say like the greatest of all time. There's always going to be one weak one, unless you like count Lord of the Rings or Toy Story, maybe. There's always going to be like one week in a film.
Well, what would you consider weak in Toy Story and Lord of the Rings?
None. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying apart from those two,
the problem with I can't name a weak film in Toy Story. I don't think. No. I think all of them serve a purpose in your life or a child's life.
Toy Story is the weakest one, but even then, it's still a fucking good film.
I think it's only the weakest one because it was the first of its kind. They didn't know what they were doing with it. Yeah. Lord of the Rings, the weakest one is obviously the Two Towers, purely because it's filler. It's got no beginning and no actual end. It's not like, and if you name any other film in the franchise, the second one, they usually stand it like, for example, the Godfather Part 2 starts on its own terms and finishes on its own terms, and obviously we make the third one. But the problem with Two Towers is that the Fellowship of the Ring ends, and Two Towers picks up straight away. Yeah. And when the Two Towers finishes, Return of the King starts with, so it's filler. Yeah. It doesn't have its own sort of staple in that franchise. I mean, if we're going to talk about staple in franchise, we have to talk about the amazing Spiderman 2.
It's awful.
Don't get me started.
If you for people at home,
film hurts me.
Yeah, people at home who
I'm literally going to break both of your hearts in a minute when you talk about this.
Do you like it?
Right. I don't hate it.
Right.
No, I don't hate it.
It has the same fundamental problems with the Spider-Man 3 and Sam Raimi's. It's got too many characters, and it's got the same problem as Batman vs Superman has. It's creating a franchise when it doesn't have to. You can just introduce a character. We can have a nice little subplot or an arc. Leave it. But these stretch and stretch and stretch till it snaps.
It's totally all over the place as well.
Oh, completely.
If you look at it as well, what's an interesting point is a lot of times when people are like talking about films, they never talk about the editing. But if you want a film which has got absolutely fucking awful editing, this film.
And this is what I was just going to bring up, but Rob beat me to it. This film, it needs an editor. It needs an absolute, the stereotypical perfect editor I could think of who could do this film. Is anyone but the person who did it. I mean, it's that's the reason it's all over the place, because I don't think performances are too bad. I don't personally like Jamie Foxx. He's in two good films. Ray, he's blind in it, and because it obviously does plays really well, and obviously in Collateral. Yeah. Django Unchained, no, it's miscast.
The only film I've seen in it is
it's going to be bad, isn't it?
A remake of Annie.
I remember you told me you watched this film. I will never watch that until the day I die.
I only watched it because my mother watched it, and it was on in the background.
What did you give it on Letterboxd?
I didn't rate it.
Did you not?
I didn't want
to. He's awful.
So I mean, The Amazing Spider-Man, it's got problems, but like I said, I don't think the performances are too bad. I just think that people are thrown in that film. Like they had to cut Shailene Woodley as Mary Jane, and that makes obviously I've not seen her in any good films except for The Spectacular Now with Miles Teller, where she has that like teen romance really well done. I'm not a fan of Divergent, Insurgent, or whatever whatever the fucking third film's called. I'm not interested in that shit. We did the Hunger Games. It's done.
My brother told me, right, because my brother's like this kind of he likes watching films, but he doesn't like watching good films.
I know too many people like that. Yeah.
Like he said to me, Rob, have you seen a Divergent series? I was like, no. Watch the first one, it's brilliant. Watch the first one, it's fucking awful. I literally thought I was watching Hunger Games halfway through.
I'll show your brother Amazing Spider-Man 2 and see what he says, because I reckon he would say it's a good film. I think it looks amazing.
It's decent. It's not bad, but it's not good.
So a few months ago, I think a month ago, when I came back from Eastern University, which would have been in April time, I actually went to go buy The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on Blu-ray just to review, and I haven't opened it yet. Yeah. But I remember watching it. I think I watched it on a plane to Cuba for some strange reason. And there's a plane crash involved in that film, which is awfully done. On the special features, it says that there's a deleted scene with his father.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that film that's cut out. So I just see loads of parallels with Batman vs Superman, and they have the same problem.
Didn't a lot of people say that Batman vs Superman had bad editing as well?
Lex Luthor rides back on a scooter, and his whole planet's been devastated by Batman, and he just picks up a thing, and the kryptonite's gone. That's about half an hour of action gone. I mean, I think it's sloppy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But can you believe? Well, Sony, I think Warner Brothers didn't have the set. Well, I think this is what come out, is that Sony had the email leak during that, and they slated Garfield. They tried to get rid of Garfield from day one, purely because he spoke out about the character. But he said quite a few times that he wanted, is it Miles Morales?
Miles Morales.
He wanted him to carry on after Amazing Spider-Man 3, and he repeatedly told the studio to get in touch with Marvel to incorporate him in it. And quite weirdly enough, though, that if you watch, I think the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they tried to render Amazing Spider-Man 1, they tried to render the Stark Tower in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they must have been planning a long time to try and get an inclusion. Would you have preferred Andrew Garfield to Tom Holland? Or let's say if we wouldn't have had Maguire wouldn't have been there, let's be honest. It wouldn't have happened.
He hasn't really done anything since either. Great Gatsby, that's about it really.
I think he's done more independent films.
Yeah.
He's in a really good film where he plays a chess master. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Pawn Sacrifice.
Yes,
with Leif Schreiber, who's Naomi Watts' husband. But I wouldn't have minded to see Andrew Garfield in these films.
Yeah,
I think he plays a good Spider-Man, but I don't think he plays a good Peter Parker.
Yeah.
The thing is as well, if he's in the Avengers...
Let Liam speak.
Go for it.
I'm just joking.
Well, if he's playing a good Spider-Man as well,
in
the Avengers he's not going to play Peter Parker very often, is he, realistically? He's going to be playing a Spider-Man more often than he is going to be playing Peter Parker in Avengers films.
Oh, I was worried after going into Civil War, because I did like Andrew Garfield.
Oh wow!
He did Spidey really well, as you said. And I was a bit disappointed, but Tom Holland did a really good job.
I mean, the one thing I noticed as well is that they have the same screen time of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, which I quite liked. I think that it's equal amount.
Yeah.
I like.
He's back in high school now, which is different because in the other ones he's in college, isn't he?
He's in high school in the first film in both, and then he just sort of
he finishes
graduates at the end of
the
beginning of the next one. They just get rid of that element straight away.
Sorry to go back, but I'm just saying that I think that we don't give credit to when Spider-Man, the death scene with Gwen Stacy. I know we're spoiling that film as well, but get over it. Her death scene in that film is horrifically. It's destroying. It's really destroying to watch that. How you hear the neck snap and it's silent.
Yeah.
I mean, they filmed 4 endings for that, and they had to choose on that because of the the American Boards Certificate Association.
That's what annoys me about that film so much, though. Amazing Spider-Man 2, the good things are really good.
Yeah, and the bad things are really bad. Yeah.
Nails Spidey perfectly. The Times Square showdown, sort of where Spidey tries to appeal to Max instead of just fighting him straight away. That's brilliant. The Gwen Stacy death, but then the bad things are really bad.
And ironically, it's quite funny that he says that because that's the first act, the second act, and the end of the third act.
Yeah.
So everything in between them.
What did you think of the ending? With the Rhino bit right at the end.
Didn't like it.
I hated it when I first saw it, but I've grown to appreciate it now.
Well, because it sets up a third one, or it sets up him becoming Spider-Man again.
Yeah, him becoming Spider-Man again. Sort of he's away for 5 months and grief, and then he sort of picks up the mantle again and
He's always going to be needed.
Yeah.
I would have appreciated it more if they wouldn't have just shoehorned that into the trailers though to make Rhino a major character.
That's a bit dodgy, isn't it? Really?
Because I think in the trailers that is the last shot in the trailer, which is ironically the last shot in the film. Yeah. Don't really like that. I think that if you go to a film, I don't want to see any of the third act in the trailer.
Don't be like the Incredibles advertised the mole as the villain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? and he's got nothing to do with films.
Well, that brings it back actually quite well with the Civil War trailer, because the animosity between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers has been there all the way since.
Yes, that was in the trailers as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, since Civil War, hasn't it? Even to the first Avengers, to some point, they always argue. Yet they're always like intertwined with each other's lives. Obviously, with Captain America or knowing Howard Stark, and then Tony Stark giving him the mantle to the Avengers and stuff. I'm quite surprised at the end that Captain America, Steve Rogers, gave up the Avengers initiative and gave it back to Tony. Because all the way through the films, you get the impression that Tony doesn't want anything to do with it, yet loves it. I find that as a character thing, as it written, very strange. Yeah. Because that's giving the impression that Robert Downey Jr. is going to sign on for more, purely then.
Well, he said he'd be up for doing another one.
Yeah, but he's 50. He's 50 million. He's 50 million.
I'd much rather him appear in other films and have another Iron Man film.
Well, he's going to be in the new Spider-Man Homecoming.
Exactly.
What do you think of the title, by the way, Spider-Man Homecoming? It's the title of a comic book. I know that.
Yeah, the comic book
Homecoming.
Is like, not a lot to do with like
Tony Stark.
What the story's probably going to be.
Yeah.
I'm very worried about Spider-Man, and I'll say why. It's because I wasn't convinced about Spider-Man in Civil War, and this is because as I was saying earlier, about about all the characters who are being introduced into the Avengers, like Ant-Man and all them. They're all of them. Their entire kind of contribution to the film was kind of acknowledging the people, and that was Spider-Man as well for me personally. Even in his fight scenes, he was being funny, like he was making good quips, but the quips were always about other people. Saying,
I didn't like the Star Wars reference in it. I really didn't. I think it was so irrelevant.
Yeah, I will agree on that. Like, I really like Spider-Man in this film, obviously because Spider-Man's my favourite character ever. Yeah. But I thought they nailed it and everything like that. But I am worried about the Spider-Man film. I'm really excited for it, but I'm worried it's not going to be as good as Civil War. Obviously, critically, it's not going to very surprised with what we put
it's not really
worried that
it'll be stellar. I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm just worried that without the other Avengers there and stuff, they nailed him so well in that film, where it's going to feel a bit lackluster his own solo film.
It's anticlimactic to see him as well in the origin story. We've not technically just seen it already.
Is it? Well, technically, do you know if it's going to be an origin story?
They said he's already established. It's going to continue from Civil
War. That's good then, because
there may be a flashback of Uncle Ben dying or something.
One thing I think people will agree with is that origin stories for superhero films, and have had a follow-up film, the origin story is very rarely the best film of those kind of films. Think about it, Batman Begins is not the best film of the trilogy. Then Spider-Man, the first one, isn't the best one of the trilogy.
I think that's in a trilogy though, because I think that once you introduce Batman and Spider-Man, we've had two.
Oh yeah, same actually. Iron Man's one that's taken away from that.
Batman and Spider-Man, everybody knows their origin. We don't need to see it.
And that's why Ant-Man works. That's why Thor works.
That's why I'm really excited for Doctor Strange. Things like
that.
I'm quite excited. I'm not the biggest fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. Because I think he's a good actor. I just think he's one of those actors who's been overhyped because of his...
Miscast, do you think, in this film?
I haven't seen it yet, so I couldn't say really. But...
Well, you can see obviously in set photos. I mean, Oscar Isaac's got a lot of backlash for his portrayal of Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse.
What, from the 2 minutes
I've
seen of it?
In the trailer, yeah, precisely. The photo images he was scrutinised, which I find really strange.
That's the design though. Wasn't really.
Well, apparently, he said he looked too big. But if you look at the new trailer, he can change size, obviously.
Yeah.
But back to Civil War then. If we look at the 3-act structure of it, I like the intro. I like it. But what I don't like is that it's not. It's in the first act quite heavily. It's in the second act a little bit, not a little bit, quite moderate. And the third act it hinges on it. Is a relationship with Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. It made me almost feel sick. To the point where it's just either kiss, make love, fade to black, and then fuck off. It was literally, it's I'll give you 5 minutes because you can talk him out of it. Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow. Again, probably one of the worst performances, or worst performance as for that character in that film. I thought she was really bad. Not Scarlett Johansson, but the character.
Yeah, she's not done much. Honestly, she's one of the most underdeveloped Avengers there is.
Yeah, I mean, and Ultron got her right as well. I thought she was quite well beefed out a little bit in that with the ballerina and sort of the Russian.
Because wasn't there
element?
There's a lot of things saying about Joss Whedon's writing of people not liking it. So it's interesting.
I think that was more the Hulk. The Hulk ones, though. People didn't like
I think
I can see why.
I think if you'd have taken Bruce Banner into this film and taken Scott Lang out, I think it would have added so much more to her character, because then she would really have not chosen what to do. So Bruce Banner was cut. Matt Ruffalo's cameo was cut from this film, and he will be in Thor 3, which may or may not set up Planet Hulk storyline.
I'm quite looking forward to it for 3, because I'm just imagining
So
Thor and Hulk just going around smashing up planets and shit.
I mean, bringing up, what do you think of the dynamic between Bucky Barnes and Falcon?
It was good, especially comedic wise, with like them sort of like them little like bits of banter like competing.
I thought them two was probably one of the best. Like you said, like the back and forth jokes.
It's one of the most
had in a
talked
while.
about things as well. And I hadn't heard anyone say anything about it, but it was quite a good thing about the film.
I think speaking of editing earlier on as well, I'm sorry for not bringing this up. I think that this film is very choppy at the start. It's very quick. I think that the scenes in, I think, is it Wakanda or something?
Where the Black Panther one, which we haven't spoken about, which we will do in a bit.
Yeah, but in the beginning when we get introduced to...
Laos?
It's Laos, sorry, it's in Laos, yeah. So the introduction of that with Crossbones, I thought that's where we're going to get Black Panther straight away. Yeah. And obviously in the comics, this is me going to geek out to you now. Obviously, Crossbones kills Captain America, doesn't it? And then Bucky Barnes. Was anyone not thinking that this would be the end for Chris Evans? Just a little bit, because inside I was looking forward to it.
He was going to come back, but a lot of us were expecting him to die at the end.
Oh shit! I didn't even know about that. So.
That
would have been interesting, but it's Marvel, didn't kill him. So.
I think in hindsight they will miss a trick with that, because Batman vs Superman, they had balls of killing Superman off. But for just the resurgence, yes, exactly. And I can just see this happening with this. But I'm going to be honest, I like Falcon and Bucky Barnes' dynamic far more than I enjoyed Bucky Barnes and Steve Rogers' dynamic, if I'm being honest. I think he just got stale after a while.
I think Chris Evans is good, but I think he just plays literally like a patriot.
It's too serious, isn't it? But that's what...
what he is, he's literally just a guy running around saying, I love America.
Yeah.
Like, he's so fucking dead.
But he's against the government's ideals in this film. The ideology.
Yeah.
That's not the American way.
I guess Captain America is what he's been branded as by the government, isn't it, anyway? So he's he's been by the government, but
that probably makes even more of the emotional impact of him defying the government, who created him. Which is it's like sort of like Akira in that way, which we reviewed last week. I like the action. I think the action's good. Like I said, it's quite choppy. The introduction, which with Crossbones, like when I get to saw his burnt face, I was like, okay, kill him now, and then he does. Then Scala, which blows a bloody building up and kills innocent people. I'm just like, why don't you just throw it in the air? Or just go like that. Yeah, but she could have just thrown it anywhere. Why next to a building to kill innocent people? Her story arc's poor.
I have to admit, I love her. Like, she's one of my favourite characters in the comics.
Yeah.
Like, she has so much potential, but it didn't.
Do you think she needs her own origin story? Well, not origin story, but she needs her own film.
It's too late, isn't it? No, it's too late.
Do you think she needed her own film?
I love that scene where in the beginning where Steve goes into her room and like they sort of like kind of pass the blame between each other and like that like touching sort of like moment
And then the Vision comes in and breaks it up.
Obviously, because the film's so crowded, like they couldn't really expand on that or anything. Like they sort of just have to leave it there in a sense, and it's just.
I mean, it resurfaced quite a few times with Tony Stark as well, where you can't keep her in the room. That's the worst thing. Is like I have to keep her in there for safety. I'm paraphrasing, don't actually say that in the film, but she looks like it's the whole. I think it goes back to the crowded situation. She would have been in Germany. She would have been in Berlin, but because there were so many characters there, especially like what's that other Carter woman in it, the blonde woman, Emily DeCamp who plays her.
Agent 13.
Yeah, Sharon.
Carter,
I mean, what the fuck? That is literally for Steve Rogers. She was pointless in this film, and it goes back. I don't know. This might be quite a big statement, but I think that I think the women characters in this film are really, really badly written. I mean, it's interesting to know that Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't turn up in this film as Pepper Potts, yet she's alluded to quite a few times in the plot.
Hasn't she stopped being Pepper Potts now? I swear she said like she doesn't want to do any more, and that's why they were out.
No, because she's in like Age of Ultron when she's in the fucking plane, and she did.
No, that's the first Avengers. She wasn't in Age of Ultron.
She's in the Age of Ultron. She is. She is.
No, she was mentioned again. They were at the party scene, and then cracky, what's her name? Maria Hill was like, oh yeah, where are the ladies? And then she's like, oh yeah, she's running a company, she's busy. Like, yeah, she's not in it.
Well, it's another one, Maria Hill. Why she's not included in this film? Also, was anyone not fucking just waiting for Samuel L. Jackson to pop up and give some expositional advice to how to defeat someone? Does anyone not expecting that? I think it's ballsy to not bring him in because he didn't need to include it. Will he be on the Blu-ray extended thing, or will he be on the Blu-ray deleted scenes?
I think if he was going to be in the film, though, he'd be in the film. Like, he's such a big fucking character, like, name. Like, I think
they had enough going on in the film. Is it?
Yeah,
I suppose so. Yeah, that's true.
I am surprised that they didn't include him, though. To be honest. Can
we talk about Black Panther? Because we haven't spoken about Black Panther.
Yes, I've got. Do you want to start?
I'm really looking forward to the Black Panther film now.
Okay.
Andy Serkis.
We're not going to get on in this podcast, I don't think.
Andy Serkis is because he's going to play a villain, isn't he?
Plays Claude, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's. Speaking of human characters, he was another human villain who was in the last in Age of Ultron. And I quite liked his part in Age of Ultron. I thought he was quite good.
It's very, very small though.
It's very small, but it sets his character up well. He did what he needed to be.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
And obviously, it's nowhere fucking near Chris Brule. What was his name? Daniel Brule, even. Yeah. But
Daniel Brule.
I just remembered Brule. I couldn't remember the rest at the start of it. But yeah, I'm looking for. I like Black Panther. I don't think he was perfect as Black Panther, but I liked his character. I liked him. I thought he was quite good. And I think he was separate from all the other editions because he didn't just kind of say, "Oh, you're Iron Man," or "You're this." He had very, very clear ambitions of why he was there, what he was doing. He was avenging his father. He was beating the shit out of people, doing those kicks in the air.
It was nice in a film full of jokes. Like you had that one really focused sort of like character, like with Fight with Hawkeye, where he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm Clint. We haven't met yet." And he's like, "I don't care."
Yeah, I don't care. Kicks in the face.
Yeah,
it's just
I liked that. Yeah.
Like,
What? So you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I really liked it, and as Rob said, I'm really excited for Black Panther.
Okay, right. This is where it's going to get a bit crazy, right? So this film was written when Spider-Man wasn't in the film. He was basically Spider-Man's part.
Right.
I think is he drastically reduced screen time due to Spider-Man? Yes. Is it? I think he is.
No, because Spidey's nothing like his part in the comic.
No, but I mean, like they had to take screen time away from him in the script to put Spider-Man in.
I think they had to take screen time away from everybody, because I
don't know
how many characters they had in that film.
Well, I think if you take Spider-Man, I think you beef Black Panther up. I'll say this: I like his inclusion. I like his reasoning for being the Black Panther.
It's good,
but he just sort of like you sort of know why he's going to become this superhero. Then he has the suit, and it's like. There's a lot of time there, which we could have put with a standalone film. Towards the end, I think he's got a really good scene with Daniel Brühl when Daniel Brühl's going to kill himself.
Yeah, do you expect him to kill Daniel Brühl?
Yeah.
But he doesn't. You expect it. I guess I'm expecting in the final scene for him to come in and try and kill, what's his face, Bucky.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He just went over to Daniel Brühl because he probably worked out what's happening and decided, actually, Daniel Brühl's kind of fucked him over there.
Yeah, so like I said, I think that how he gets introduced, I think is good. I think he's got his own little story arc. I think it's good. It's not beefed out as much as I want to because I find that character really interesting.
Would you say that you might have enjoyed him better if the Black Panther film had come out before this film?
Definitely.
I agree with that.
Because we won't be getting an origin story in Black Panther. What is the point?
Because I guess we know where he's coming from.
Yeah, but the first
let's say like a flashback or something like that.
Well, yeah, I think the first post credit scene with him sorting Bucky Barnes. I can see that when we get the Black Panther film in like 2018.
It's 2016. Is it next year?
2017.
No, it's beginning of 2018. I think.
Oh shit! Is it?
I think there's rumours that
just before Avengers Infinity
War.
Yeah,
it's just I think it's that. Then it goes Ant-Man and the Wasp. Then it's the Avengers Infinity. No, I think Ant-Man stepped in between Avengers.
Captain Marvel stepped between the two Avengers.
Well, there's rumours that that's off the schedule as well.
I will be really disappointed.
But I think that if they set this up with Bucky Barnes in it and we see Black Panther, I can't remember his name, and Prince something. Yeah. I think if his character stays true and helps Bucky Barnes through that, where Claw comes after him, because he's going to get the adamantium.
Yeah,
most likely.
Well, it's definitely probably going to be done if he's lost it out.
Yeah. Because that's not those characters in the MCU anyway.
Yeah, I don't think Steve Rogers will be in Black Panther, but I think Bucky Barnes is because he's got a 9-contract film.
That's it.
Yeah, 9-film contract. Same as.
It surprises me because he's always kind of like not been a massive kind of name.
It's been a very big shadow,
yeah. Like very, very much a shadow.
He had like a 7-picture contract, and he's been in 3 now actually appearing.
Yeah, 3 definitely.
So like 4 and 2 Avengers, 5, 6.
Yeah. So I must admit, I think speaking of Bucky Barnes as well as Black Panther, I quite like them characters in it. I really do. What do you think about Iron Man's dynamic with Captain America then? Do you like it? Does it work for you? I mean,
it's pretty good.
I think it's a long time coming, isn't it, to actually see the events unfold?
I know this is a very obvious thing to say. It wouldn't have worked about Daniel Brühl. Daniel Brühl
Yeah.
making them go against each other was what amplified it.
Showing them, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit cheesy done though. I think it's like we all knew what he was going to show him, and throughout the film, it's like
he's what Lex Luthor should have been in Batman vs Superman, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
But Lex Luthor wasn't even not Daniel Brühl.
No, I agree with that. I think this film is far better done than Batman vs Superman on every level. Did I like the ending at the? Did anyone like the ending with the? I can't remember. What's it called? The nuclear. What? Silo?
What?
Yeah.
The raft. The prison.
No. Towards the end of the third act, when Iron Man, Bucky Barnes, and Captain America fights in a missile silo, isn't it? In Siberia.
So
what did you guys think of that?
The actual fight scene.
Yeah.
I quite liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
There's a point where I genuinely thought, oh shit, he's gonna fucking crush his skull with a shield.
When he went for the
he covered his face as well, so you really think that's
Yeah.
what he's targeting.
Well, I thought he was gonna because like the whole thing about being a friend when he crushed his circular
arc reactor.
I thought Iron Man was gone.
Yeah, it's like he had a fucking intent in his face as well.
Yeah.
I thought, Jesus Christ.
I think that then again, that's why I think that the MCU fails on that. Have a bit of balls because he said that Joss Whedon said, or Kevin Feige said, is it Feige? Feige. He's going to be the. Well, honestly, I butchered it anyway. I think that he said that in the Avengers: Age of Ultron, someone was going to die, and then it was the person everyone knew was going to die. It's not really taking a bigger risk in that film. Personally,
an entire franchise to kill someone like.
Well, I think Iron Man's story's done now. I think it's done. It's played out. How many times can they make a film of his own weapons coming back to haunt him? It's 3 times now.
Infinity War, a lot of people are going to die. Whether they come back or not will be a different matter.
But there's a big problem, isn't there, with superheroes dying in the comic books anyway. Is that the people die, but like as we saw in Batman vs Superman, for instance, like it's not. They have such free reign over the characters. They'll just bring them back, and it's like, oh, but that's not true because this guy went back in time and changed it, and this happened.
Yeah, just like that quote where it's like, or that comment where it's the only people who stay dead in comics are Gwen Stacy and Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Poor Spiderman. But yeah. I really like that. It was kind of cheesy and kind of annoying, but at the same time, it really shows Tony's character. In a sense, that line where he's like, he killed my mum, and he doesn't mention his father at all, because obviously they've always had that shaky relationship.
Yeah.
I love how he only mentions his mum.
It's if you compare that to the Batman vs Superman,
it's done really well. It's done a lot better. It's a lot more emotional, more impactful. But then again, I still take my point that it's not. It's just cutting the sand. It's just that's it. Will that carry on to the next films? I don't see them both interacting again. Because
if someone had died in that, it would have given so much weight to Daniel Brühl.
Yeah.
What he did with them as well. But what realistically has happened is that he said. Someone said to him, it's happened. He said, yeah, it has. And look. But if someone had died, then yeah, something would have happened. But realistically, he's just kind of messed him about a bit, had a bit of a tussle, but actually, we're all friends now. So,
well, they're kind of still apart, but yeah, they're sort of on decent terms, sort of thing. But they're still going to be shaky when there's so
much raw emotion between the last 15 minutes of that film.
Yeah.
To end it like that, I think it's really anticlimactic. We waited so long for that fight and the fight to happen. I think that if Captain America would have gone that, and then the arc reactor would have gone, but Captain America didn't mean to kill him, and he couldn't the arc reactor's like killing him, obviously with the shrapnel, which I think is gone anyway in the second film.
Taken out in Iron Man 3.
If he was literally just dying there, and like he had to save him, and he was like, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. That's why at the end when it said Spidey will return in the Iron Man films, that's what they do to the Iron Man. It gives a bit more weight to Captain America's personality. Daniel Brühl leaves the stage there with a lot more plaudits, and then you obviously the thing where someone dies in the world, someone else is born. That's the Spider-Man.
Doesn't Daniel Brühl's character in the actual comics doesn't he actually have powers?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he does.
Spider-Man
Zemo, isn't it?
So I was wondering whether he does kill himself.
I don't know.
What happens to him? He gets locked up, isn't he? So
yeah.
You always wonder whether he could come back with powers, which would be interesting because it'd be a different dynamic to his character, obviously.
Yeah, like that's another criticism with Marvel is like they always kill off their villains or like they end it so the villains can't be brought back. So they've like kept it open this time.
Yeah, I quite like that as well.
I don't think I can name a decent Marvel villain except for Ultron.
I liked Ultron, but I didn't think it
Are
was
we
used enough.
including the Netflix series? Because I can.
We're not including Netflix series. I have not seen any of the Netflix series.
Are you talking just the MCU, or are we talking Spider-Man 2 as well? Octavius.
We'll talk about the MCU because we could just go for the joke, and no one has an argument against that. I think that the closest one they've got, I think Loki's the good one. Thanos is the ultimate, the overlord, isn't it? We haven't seen much of him yet. I don't think we've seen the extent of what he can do. Obviously, he's coming. We all know he's coming. Is anyone surprised that we didn't have a post-credit sequence with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is filming, or Thanos? Is anyone surprised?
I was expecting what it was pretty much because the Spidey and Black Panther, just because they were the two that were really being set up.
Did we have an end sequence with for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at the end of Ultra anyway? Didn't we?
No, we had a Thanos one.
Yeah,
Thanos. Where he took the Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay, so that's second.
That's it.
War.
Yeah.
Which is gonna wreck shop.
Yeah.
Lots of shit's gonna go down in that one, but yeah.
Thanos just looks like a meathead to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I quite like the casting all these people. I mean, Al Pacino and Kurt Russell are in, and Sylvester Stallone's rumoured to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh shit.
I love that.
Nathan Fillion as well.
Wow. Everyone erupts in the room. I like Nathan Fillion. Do I like him loads? No. He's good in Serenity. I haven't seen Firefly yet, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
What
are you doing with your life?
I have a Blu-ray as well.
He's got a lot of fans, doesn't he, Fillion?
Well, he's good he's in Saving Private Ryan, isn't he, for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
He's quite good. I mean, we'll end Civil War, but I mean, we have to talk about the repercussions of the next films.
Right.
I think this film, in hindsight, well, not hindsight, but I think actually, in actual, I think it's quite anticlimactic.
Okay.
We're not going to see these. So, I was just saying that we're not going to see these characters interact. The main one, we're not going to see these government lines interact again, because we aren't going to see it in we may see it in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Doctor Strange, we won't. Will we see it? We'll see it definitely in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and it's going to be mentioned in Spider-Man, obviously. I mean,
yeah.
Iron Man's in that one as well, so there's going to be mentioned and there's going to be repercussions. But like you said, the main Avengers, it's not really going to be referenced until the next Avengers.
And that's what I have. That's where my
they'll probably allude to it in Black Panther. Maybe they'll cameo in it, one or two of them.
I think Bucky Barnes will be in that film. I think Sebastian Stan will definitely be in that film as a main character. But I just think I find that we're talking about an MCU now, and we talk about the whole Captain America with Bucky Barnes now. We've got full circle. With Iron Man and his...
How much else can you do with that as well?
Yeah, I mean, this film is good in a way for bringing all this... Because 10 years ago, we wouldn't be enough to do this film. Now it's done to the... And also, I'd like to bring credit to the Russo brothers, who before Winter Soldier did Arrested Development TV show series. And they're now going to do the Infinity War films.
Big up Michael Cera.
It's Michael Cera.
Whatever.
How did you... How do you pronounce Steve Buscemi? This is staying in this fucking podcast. It's Steve Buscemi. It's not Buscemi. You and your pronunciations. You make fun of me for not being able to say inauguration. And then you're making fun of me because you said Michael... What is he, Cera?
Michael Cera.
Cera. Jesus Christ. To say on high, did I prefer it to Batman to Superman? I did. When we watch this again, yeah.
Where would you put it in the MCU?
High.
Yeah.
But not as high as I think it should be.
I'd put it, because I'd say it's a good addition to the MCU. I wouldn't say it adds anything to what we haven't already seen.
Definitely.
Well, I think me
and you were quite similar on it because we're both aware of the MCU.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, I would have gone to the cinema and I'm so excited for this. Now, we went to go watch Demolition, the Jean-Marc Villers film, literally after this film.
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer?
I think I like them both for different reasons. You prefer Demolition?
I give Demolition 5 stars.
Yeah. I was very shocked about that.
I loved it. I love the Mr. Big Freeze song when he starts dancing.
Yeah.
You've got to see that film. It's very. It's not. It isn't. Don't take your children to that film.
I'll add it to my list of many properties.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna we're gonna Civil War, it's an excellent double bill. It's not. Don't do it and don't take your fucking children to this film either. But Civil War, I can't. Liam. If you put yourself in Liam's shoes, it's a long time coming. It's a really good film.
Yeah.
And I think it's an excellent addition to the franchise.
Yeah, I think that sums it up very well.
Yeah.
So my top 3 Marvel films would be Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then the Avengers.
Really?
MCU.
I wouldn't have taken the Avengers out Winter Soldier. That would be top 3.
I liked Winter Soldier. I didn't think it was anything mind-blowing.
I think it's a game changer, Winter Soldier.
I'd probably do Guardians, Winter Soldier, and this one.
Oh,
yeah. So it's
Whoa,
definitely up there.
Can I just say this though? This might break Liam. Take Spiderman out. Is it the same film? Do you like it even more?
I wouldn't like it as much, but I
would it still be in your top 3?
Oh,
I don't think it would be.
I don't know about top 3, but yeah, I would still really enjoy it. But yeah, Spider-Man really does make that for me as well.
I think it's one of those films that's hard to hate. It's up there for everybody.
I think the only reason why I would hate it if I wouldn't, like you said earlier, the first thing you said about the podcast was that if you're not aware of the MCU, you struggle in it.
Yeah.
I think if you don't watch the previous films, I think you'll really struggle with this film. But if you watch it as a standalone, yeah, you're going to struggle. If you're aware, if you're somewhat aware,
yeah,
I think you'll like it. I think you'll love it. And if you're a diehard fan like Liam is, I think you've been waiting a long time to see this film.
Yeah, if you're a comic fan, it will be like the best thing you've ever
I don't think that there's going to be many people who are going to say this is the best MCU film of all time. I think a lot of people are going to say this is one of the best additions to the MCU. But I don't think there's going to be
I've
many
seen
people.
a lot of people saying it's the best superhero film of all time. But
Okay,
those are all like comic fans, like proper.
Yeah, and misunderstood people because they're wrong.
Alright, well, if you say so.
It is good. It's good in especially the MC universe. But I mean, if you let's say if you put the Dark Knight, which is considered the best superhero ever made, you can have that on its standalone film. It works in the standalone because you don't get any other characters except for the. It makes
its own universe as well.
To be fair, the Dark Knight trilogy is not. You kind of can, but you kind of can't class it as a superhero trilogy. It's more.
Oh my god, it's heat.
It's more for a general.
It's Heat with Batman in. Michael Mann, favorite director, amazing film.
Obviously, like MCU and like the new DC universe, they're all like targeted at comic fans mainly and like the superhero audience that has grown. Whereas Dark Knight is targeted at more of a mainstream audience. So like mainstream people love it, whereas comic fans actually really hate Dark Knight. They really don't like the portrayal of Batman. But like
it's very aggressive and very dark.
But I do like. But then, like I said, I've never been a big fan of Batman. I don't really like it, but I do really like the Dark Knight trilogy.
I think what DC is so good at though is the villains.
DC have got a lot more names, haven't they, as well?
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, Justice League or the Avengers Infinity War, what are you thinking?
Avengers. Look, honestly, if they fire Zack Snyder from Justice League, I'll be down for it.
Agreed.
That's interesting, though, because that brings up to a little tiny point before we wrap up.
This has just broken this story as well.
Ben Affleck has been announced as an executive producer on
Justice League. What's it called? Justice League Part 1, is it? Is it literally just called Justice League Part 1?
I think so. They'll probably do like another.
Jesus.
And this is my gripe with it. A lot of people will be wondering why I'm bringing this up if it annoys you so much. But they're only putting him as an executive producer for the same reason they put Christopher Nolan on as an executive producer for Batman vs Superman. Literally, they're putting a name to it so people will go and see it to associate it with what they knew.
Exactly,
yeah. What people knew from Batman vs Superman is Ben Affleck was one of the best parts about it.
Yeah.
And everyone knows he's a good director, he's a good writer, he's won Oscars before that, like Argo.
I mean, I'm 50-50 with it. I agree completely about your comment about like how he's just there to implement like the name. But I do think that I'm glad that they've done it because Nolan is a producer and he's a director, but Affleck stars in the film. Yeah. Affleck will get to do a little bit more grafting work than that. So I think it's a good thing, but is it a drive to just get people to see it? I think it is a little bit.
Snyder's vision.
He's
not.
I cannot believe that. I cannot believe the man who made Watchmen, which is probably one of the best dark comic book films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's a great stylistic director, isn't he? He's got a good vision.
That's why I think the gun at the beginning where they killed his parents off Batman's, what the fuck is he doing when the bats take him up in a dream sequence? One thing about him,
I actually pissed myself.
I looked at Snake next to me, who was next to me, who's not here now. I looked at him and I went, please no.
Yeah, I did that with my friends. I just like looked over and I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
Thank God there's no flashbacks in this film. Oh no, wait, there is. But they're done quite well. They are done quite well. So to end, I'm a fan of Civil War. I liked it.
I think it's hard not to like it.
I think I'll like it in the next 3 days to the next 3 months to the next 3 years. I think I'll enjoy it.
Biggest criticism of it for me is that it's inaccessible for people who don't like Marvel.
Completely agree.
But how many people don't watch Marvel at this point? That's the only thing you can say about that. Like, if it kind of proves itself as well, and how many people are going to see these films just by the fact it's the highest grossing franchise of all time.
I think more people will have a Marvel MCU property in their house than they will a Bible at this point in their life.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is true.
There won't be a Bible in a hotel room anymore. It will be the Iron Man DVD.
How long do you think it will take before Star Wars takes over Marvel as the highest grossing franchise of all time?
We will see. Because Marvel, well, I mean, obviously Star Wars are getting their spin-offs and stuff, but Marvel are
it's a tricky one because what have we got? We've got Rogue One, which I think the trailer's horrific. And if you come at me on Twitter, be ready, bitches, because I will literally down your...
I'm looking forward to it because I like Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, but I'm just waiting for them to talk about the eye in that film. In Southpaw, they talk about the eye. In Last King of Scotland, they talk about the eye. So in this film, they're going to talk about his fucking lazy eye. They're going to do it. And they're going to relate it back to him being shot in the face or something. But I mean, so Liam, you can have the final words. Our special guest today.
Final words on Civil War?
Yeah.
Oh, crikey, it's just trying to sum this up without sounding too fanboy, but I did love it.
I don't think it's fanboyish. I think you like it.
I think it'd be difficult for people to disagree with you that it's a good film.
I was just especially when it first came out, it was I was literally trying to find flaws with it, and I can find a few flaws, but most of the flaws I can find are just nitpicks. There's nothing inherently bad about this film. It's only little tiny things that wouldn't really affect it if they were changed.
Well, it's probably the best place to end it. So, Rob, you can end it. I like it. End it.
Do it.
I don't know what to say.
I like it when you end it.
Just do it.
So thanks for watching this spoiler review podcast. And unfortunately, it's another superhero film. So one day maybe we might do a non-superhero film.
I think we need to, don't we? We need to not do a new one.
When Star Wars comes out.
We could do a Jungle Book one, or maybe Rogue One when it comes out. But we'll see.
Jungle Book, I'm not. Ow!
No,
Jungle Book.
We went this far about walking depression. So
we need to stop doing that. Well, I do. Snake's gone. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks.
Hope you enjoyed.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See ya.